Well, heidi ho, heidi ho. So, I left a message earlier about corporeality, and I wanted to further discuss that and how our seven gates 2, 4, 5, 7. Everything we hear, see, smell, taste, breathe, all the words that come out of our mouth, it's all attached to the material. Well, a lot of people will say everything material that you touch is real, and everything else that isn't real is spiritual. And the thing that a lot of individuals miss with corporeality is corpus. So the teachings will say. Um, we are spiritual beings living a physical experience. Fiction. So anyway, one of my grandchildren just went by, and I don't like to have them that much on the videos. Um, so there is a connection with Ruach, spirit, with everything that is material. Every atom. So you think of quantum entanglement, the spooky action at a distance. That's us. What can't be seen? Only the effects of everything that we affect around us can be seen. We are the cause and the effect. We cause things to be put into action, and then we're the effect also. And we're going to feel the effect of what we cause to be put into action. So, eating. Well, the food is physical, but is also spiritual. Does it matter to the food that we eat? Yes, it most definitely does. So we're told about kosher things, and I've said this before. The way something is slaughtered does matter. So if something is slaughtered in an inhumane way and the animal is suffering, when we take that in, we're taking the spirit of the animal in with us. The same thing with how we raise crops. We take the spirit, the energy into ourselves. When we are intimate, a man and a woman is intimate. That is spirit, ruach. So anyway, intimacy between a man and a woman is a very spiritual thing. So not only have they proven that the DNA of the man stays inside of a woman, sometimes her entire life. So everybody that a woman is with, the DNA stays inside her. Okay, so she absorbs some of that spirit, ruach, character, the energy from that man. So when they say that everybody that you sleep with, you're sleeping with everybody they slept with, there's truth in that. So it's not just that, but even in a marriage, a covenant, when you're intimate with your wife, is it animalistic for base wants and desires, or do you make it spiritual? Is there a spiritual connection? That does matter. So again, when we eat, is it because we need to sustain the body and nourish the body? Is it for nourishment, or is it gluttony? How much can I shove in my gullet? How much can I put in this pie hole? You know, or is it spiritual? I've got to eat this, and this is what I need to eat to sustain this body so the body's healthy. Those things matter. So, trespassing against one another is both spiritual and physical. Okay? But it's always linked to spirit. So, do I have a right to trespass against another man? No, I don't. So, when we first recognize that in ourselves, then we're going to be able to recognize it in others. Now, if I don't have a right to trespass against others and cause harm to others, others don't have a right to trespass against myself or cause harm to me. So when we look at the way the system is set up right now, everything has been turned upside down. What is actually wicked is considered to be tov, good, and what is good is considered to be wicked in the eyes of many, of the masses. So a man living spiritually and giving up materialism, so we'll say any of the sages were found in a tree for a reason. They gave up materialism. They were aiming for spirituality, not the physical, not what others perceive to be real, which is nothing more than atoms that always have been and always will be a part of our Ima Abba. So the atoms are in the circle of life. So a tree that rots goes back to the soil, and the nourishment goes up, and you might grow some cucumbers or tomatoes or whatever. That's both physical and spiritual, but it's always in the circle of life. When we leave these corpses, corporations, these bodies, these legal fictions that are us, that are actually not legal, which is a whole different story. Um, the body degrades and deteriorates, and everything goes back to source, to where it started. So anything that is water returns to the. So just remember, the rain that's coming down may very well be a body of yours from 10,000 years ago. Look at things that way. So anyway, trespassing against others. So my ego, I got to kill off my ego. And all of us have to do that, which is the ego of the beast, these bodies, which would be the Yetzirah, the reptilian mind, the evil inclination. So, what do we actually need to sustain life? Food, clothing, and shelter. And intimacy between the masculine and feminine gender so that we can keep the species going. How much do we need? That's corporeal or spiritual. But in the corporeal is spirit. You can't remove one from the other because the spooky action at a distance is always attached to all the particles. That would be the mind of our Ima Abba, or what some call the mind of the All. Allah, God, Hashem, by whatever name you want to attribute, Shakti, Vishnu, Buddha, Christos. So it's going in. So like I said, Lech Lecha, God told Abraham Avinu, Abraham the father of nations, to go, and then to go for himself, which means to go into yourself. And he would show him the land of milk and honey. Well, it's not physical. It's to see there's something spiritual in the physical. Always. You can't remove energy from the atoms. There's always going to be an attachment in between, and that is the mind of our Ima Abba. Consciousness, everything that is mental, the ebb and flow, karma, dharma. So that's the message. I just wanted to get back on here and do a clarification. So it's what we do with the material. Is it Ra or Tov? Is it good or wicked? Is there an evil inclination? Is it for self-gratification, selfish needs? Because I want. So it's I want intimacy, but I just want to, the act, and there's nothing spiritual behind it. So I don't covet. I don't covet what belongs to others. I'm not coveting just to be with a female, and same with a female. Not coveting just to be with a man so that you can fill the. But there's no spiritual connection there. There is a spiritual connection. There's always a spiritual connection, but in which way are you connecting? The same thing with our food, same thing with how we interact with one another. So Mordecai didn't bow to Haman. Well, that's situational narcissism, believing another man has a right to rule over you or can give you authority to rule over others. And God forbid they don't bow down to me. Now I'm going to kill the whole nation and everybody that believes in what he believes in. Well, that's the message. God bless. Much love.